Well, this is going to be a somewhat short but scary video about removable devices and lost data. Now, this is really probably nothing that you don't already know about thumb drives and USB removable devices and so forth. However, you need to understand how Workstation handles these to understand some of the issues that can come up. So here's the scenario. I connect a removable device to a virtual machine. Workstation recognizes it. It writes an auto connect entry into that virtual machine's .vmx file. So what's going to happen is when the VM restarts or the virtual machine restarts, Workstation is going to look in that VMX file and say, oh, by the way, there's a thumb drive should be in here, and it will try to reconnect the device. If that device is still connected to the host machine, it will pick it up and reconnect it. If it's not connected, that auto connect entry is going to be removed and you'll have to manually reconnect the device later. So that might help explain some of the confusion in some of these windows that pop up when it comes up, because you'll see that little window pop up, and basically what it's trying to tell you is, hey, the last time I was running there was a USB device in here and now I don't see it. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to connect to it? What's going on here? But that's not the really big problem that's going to happen here. You need to always use caution when you're unplugging removable devices, when you move them from VM to host, when you move them from that virtual machine to another virtual machine, back out to the host, and so forth. Because some devices, some USB devices, based on the device, based on the operating system on the device, do not write new data to the device right away. What it's doing is it's caching this data, and it will write it at a certain point in time. That point in time is determined by all sorts of things. Solar flares, half the distance squared to the sun, divided by the circumference of the moon, those kinds of things. So here's what can happen. You can write a lot of data to a thumb drive and then go into the VM menu, for example, in XP on an XP machine, and reconnect that thumb drive to the host system, and guess what? XP won't properly shut that thing down. It'll just move it, and the data that was in XP may not have been written to the removable drive, and you just lost data. So if you move that device before the write process occurs, it will result in a loss of data. It will shock you, it will confuse you, it'll drive you nuts. So what you want to do is you want to always follow the manufacturer's instructions when you're unplugging these devices. Right click on them, eject them, go down to the safe removal icon in the notifications area on the taskbar, whatever. But be very careful, because just because the VMware gives you that option up there of going to the VM menu and just moving these devices around, keep in mind you could be losing data doing this. So don't get lazy and just grab that thing. This is always a threat with removable devices. It's gotten a lot better in the last few years. They don't put it so much of that write caching built into the operating system on them and all that. But anyway, just be very, very careful with these things, because the confusion of a virtual machine not recognizing it, the confusion of having 2 or 3 virtual machines on a host, who's got the removable device, I'll just move it. All that can kind of cloud your thinking, and if you're a type A personality, like a certain person I know, you just want the thing moved and you kind of get ahead of yourself, and before you know it, you've lost some data. So anyway, that's enough of that. Beat a dead horse here. Be very, very careful with these removable devices.